Hello ladies and gentlemen, Willie here. You join me today on a very special day because today is the day I complete something that I've been working towards since, I don't know, about the start of phase 2 or something. I previously mentioned it in a video, but today is the day where it finally happens. And that is where I get my final class in Classic World of Warcraft to level 60, without doing any boosting by the way. There it is, level 60. Let's have a talk about how I found the journey doing this. Guys, did you know if you're subscribed to the channel, your leveling will go 20% faster? No, really? Anyways, on with the video. So I just wanted to go over a few stats I've come up with now that I've done this, my thoughts on having leveled each class, what I liked, what I didn't like, why I did this, and what's the plan moving forwards. I didn't really choose any order for any particular reason other than I just felt like playing a class at that point in time. The order I leveled in, if I recall correctly, was Warlock, Paladin, Shaman, Hunter, Mage, Druid, Rogue, Warrior, Priest. And there were certainly some classes that I found to be more of a chore than others to level up, but I never got to the point where I stopped playing one and started another, because the objective was never to have an alt or to pick a main for me definitively. I already had that, the alt being the Paladin and the main the Warlock, and I'm not interested in seeing the raid content and gearing process on a third character if I'm honest. 2 is enough for me. The goal is, and always was, to level everything to 60. Why? Because I can, I guess. I like leveling. Trying different classes, figuring out what the best routes are to level, and just trying different specs out as well. I didn't really follow any guides at all, I just picked the stuff I thought would work well. Though I do recommend having the questy add-on for sure, it makes life infinitely better. Also, I did not boost. Why? It's just kind of boring to me. Unless I was playing something else on another screen, I wouldn't have been able to stomach boost, and there's not really another game I'm into at the moment, so yeah. But how can I prove that I never boosted, say if you really wanted proof? Well, get somebody who has boosted their character to open a map with Questy installed, and you will see about 1 million quests available because they never did any of them. Or, you know, just the playtime to level. Let's take a look at that as well. Now, assuming my math isn't scuffed, which, it might be, but anyway, let's go from the slowest leveling class to the fastest. Oh, and by the way, I certainly didn't aim to level anything fast, and I definitely AFK'd a lot, not to mention just getting better at leveling the more I did it, so take this with a big old grain of salt. But I wanted to give you the stats on it for fun. It's worth a mention as well, the Warlock, Paladin and Shaman were all leveled on PvP servers. Last place, unsurprisingly, is the Paladin at 221 hours played, or about 9.2 days. A slow and steady class. This was my second one to level, no surprises here really. Next was the Warlock at 187 hours played, or about 7.8 days. I can tell you that Warlock is nowhere near this slow if you know what you're doing. This was my first character, and I just did literally whatever whilst leveling, as well as taking care of things like professions and gold making, trying to get into a lot of dungeons. It was quite different back then. In the 7th spot is Shaman, my first horde character at 185 hours played, or about 7.7 days. Not too speedy either, we'll talk about this one soon. 6th place, Rogue. I even leveled this one nearer the end, but it still came out quite slow at 161 hours, or about 6.7 days played. 5th on the list is Hunter at 159 hours, or 6.6 days played. This class is often one you see associated with speedrunning, but needless to say, I was hardly speedrunning. 4th was Druid, a strong leveling class overall, I feel, with 151 hours or about 6.3 days played. And for the top 3 now, here's a class you probably didn't expect to be this high up. Warrior at 147 hours or about 6.1 days played. I had a much better time leveling the Warrior than I expected to. Second is Mage at 137 hours or 5.7 days. I didn't AoE grind, I just leveled normally. All the same, Mages are just super fast. But not as fast, or at least for me, as Priest, which took 133 hours or about 5.5 days played from 1 to 60. That's nearly 3 entire days faster than the Paladin was for me. Okay, so that was pretty interesting for me, and that was just the time leveling between 1 and 60, of course. I'd rather not look at the total amount I have, to be honest. It's probably still under 100 days, so you know, pretty casual player. People have spent more time in that in the game by phase 3 or 4. But aside from the speed of leveling, what about fun? What did I like the most? Okay, so this is totally subjective. Something has to be last, something has to be first. I typically don't like doing tier lists because no one likes hearing their class is the worst, do they? But this is just going off what I felt. And it's not always just down to the class either, but other things which affected that leveling process. The more you do something, the better you get. And you probably start liking it more too if you keep doing it. Also, I tend to spend gold on gear whilst leveling. I think it's a good investment. Sometimes I wear an item from like level 20 all the way to 40. It's money well spent, in my opinion. Also, healing potions and just leveling up first aid tend to be very cheap and very worth the investment in the long term. But let's talk a little bit about what I liked. And we're going to start at the bottom of the list again and then go up to the best. In 9th place, and to be honest it's here by quite a long way, is Shaman. Leveling the Shaman was a real struggle for me. I just didn't like it, especially by the later levels. Here's the thing. From 1 to 40 you're wearing leather, you don't have the avoidance or CC of a rogue, you don't have the sustain of a druid or the kiting ability of a hunter. You just get hit in the face repeatedly by everything whilst having to spend your mana to do damage and trying to heal in between. I couldn't find a real efficient way to play the class, and I know about the whole Searing Totem and Flame Shock thing, but it never really clicked for me. I did start off as Enhancement, and by level 30 I was really looking forwards to Wind Fury so much to spice things up. And it was good initially, but by the late level 40s I was just kind of done with it. It was super RNG heavy, it could make or break your damage, often the hits would just be dodge, block, parry, miss, or a mob would be on 10% health left, and of course that's when it procs. So I tried Elemental, and the damage was great, but man, your mana bar is just gone in no time at all, and you have to revert back to wearing not male gear anymore to get decent gear. If I had to do Shaman again, I think I would have done more dungeons for sure. It was a lot more fun in that content, and you could really make the most of your entire toolkit there. As for the positives, Elemental Mastery globaling a mob every few minutes is really fun, and Ghost Wolf is amazing before you get your mount. 8th is Paladin, a class that is well known for being a bit of a you need something to watch on your second monitor to level kind of class. It's slow, there's not a lot happening. By level 20 you've basically seen everything that the class has to offer throughout leveling. You auto attack and yeah, that's kind of it. I'd recommend going prot and doing dungeons. That's what I would do if I had to do it again. 7th is Rogue. I thought I'd actually like Rogue quite a bit, but I didn't really. I started off with a combat build, going down and getting riposte, but by like level 30 or something, I was just so done with it. It's just so boring. There's next to no variance, just bash Sinister Strike till enemy dies. Also, stealth felt so sluggish and just not useful, and you got detected from miles away all the time. So I went to try and find my own build and ended up with some kind of ambush type sub build, which made the class a lot more fun for me. Stealth felt so much more quick and agile when you used it, and it stacked up very nicely with world buffs too. And it's kind of fun seeing those big ambush crits take off half an opponent's health. These were definitely big factors in making this class fun for me. There just wasn't that very much exciting that the class could do regularly for me though. I did like the lockpicking and poisons though. Those extra professions that the rogue gets really adds to the class fantasy for me. 6th for me was Hunter, one of the faster classes in the game. So what was my problem with it? It's kind of like Rogue in that the playstyle is just really boring, but you can't pick another spec and change it. I literally tried every spec for Hunter, and in the end, it's always send pet in, do Serpent Sting, and wait. And then you heal your pet if you need to, and repeat. Maybe the odd aim shot or multi-shot, but honestly that would just rip aggro off your pet, or just wasn't worth the mana really. The saving grace with Hunter is that it is amazing at solo play. You can solo things well out of your level range since ranged attacks do not glance, and your pet can actually hold threat, unlike the other pet class. Also, Feign Death is probably one of my favourite abilities to ever have been put in the game. It's just so useful. And I'm surprised I put Hunter here. It really does fall behind just on the playstyle alone. Everything else it does is great. 5th for me is Druid. Now, I found Druid to be a real mixed bag whilst leveling. It's pretty dire from 1 to 10. Once you get Bear Form, it's okay, and then at level 20 you get Cat, and the class goes from kind of a bit boring to a leveling machine. The sheer power spike at level 20 is unlike anything I've played on any other class. It's just unreal. Your heals keep you good between pulls, you get Travel Form at level 30, making you super fast in the open world before you can afford your mount, and you're really good at soloing elites, well, pure outdoor that is, and can reset with roots. The reason it's a bit lower on the list is because Druid felt like it kind of fell off a bit at later levels, like it was getting weaker or so from level 45 and onwards. The power curve really began to take a dip for me. Despite this, it was good overall. In 4th, we have Warlock, a very solid class, great at soloing elites. If you can fear it, you can solo it, that's the Warlock motto. Very good mana sustain with Light Tap, and health sustain with Drain Life and Siphon Life. A demon which has varying levels of usefulness between good damage from the Succubus or semi-decent, okay-ish tanking from Voidwalker. Soulstone to make up for mistakes, and of course Healthstone, summoning, an enormous amount of class-wide utility. So why is it only 4th? I don't particularly have any problems with the Warlock leveling, it's just the other 3 ahead of it were more fun for me, so it's like I'm kind of a bit neutral on it. In 3rd place was the fastest class to 60 for me, Priest. Let me say this was easily the most efficient class I have ever leveled. I probably used about 60 to 80 food and water from levels 1 to 60, that's not even an exaggeration. You just never need to stop if you play it right and rely on Spirit Tap. Your wand is absolutely your best friend. Getting max value out of your spells is also super important. Shadow Word Pain has a very good base damage, Power Word Shield is going to absorb a lot, and making the most out of both of these will make your journey so much better. Don't spam your mana, it will disappear really fast. The only issue I had with Priest, sort of like a few other classes here, was the playstyle again. It's legitimately just dot and wand from like level 4 or whenever you get Shadow Word Pain all the way to 60. I can't deny how good it feels at 40 though, getting Shadow Form. The class is also amazing at soloing things. Vampiric Embrace, Power Word Shield, Inner Fire and Shadow Form make you surprisingly tanky for a caster. So overall, I really enjoyed the Priest. Second is Warrior. Yep, Warrior. Have I lost my mind? Maybe I have, yeah. I thought everyone said pre-classic Warrior was the worst thing ever to level. Well, looks like times change. Now, to be fair, Warrior before level 30 is like you're role-playing a level 16 kobold from Fargo Deep Mine or something. You're essentially playing what Paladins experience all the way to 60, an auto-attack simulator. I mean, sure you get Execute at like level 20 something, that's cool, but things don't really pick up till Sweeping Strikes at level 30. And by the way, always go arms, it's just so much better than Fury. That was my experience at least. You get Whirlwind at level 34, I believe, and Mortal Strike at 40, and once you have all of these core abilities, the class really comes to life, and it's so much fun. You get a class quest that gives you an incredibly powerful weapon. With help, you can get this around level 30 or so, I believe. I was able to solo the entire thing by level 38. I must have used my Whirlwind Axe all the way up to about level 50. It really is that good. Also, the class scales so well with gear and world buffs, for real. I have really started to go out of my way to get world buffs on the Warrior. The class is just so much better with them. On top of that, you can totally delete entire packs of enemies with Retaliation and Sweeping Strikes every 30 minutes too, which is just fun to do. No other class can do something like this. Well, apart from one other maybe. Overall, I like the Warrior a lot. Just keep in mind though, gear and world buffs, without either of them, it would be a lot lower on this list and a lot more average. Which means in first place is Mage. Of course it is. This class is completely overpowered, broken, and it's literally just miles ahead of everything else. I barely leveled Priest faster than this class too. I didn't go an AoE farm either, just some kind of standard Shatter, Frostbolt spam build. But man, this class really has everything. Incredible CC, burst, AoE, teleports, free food, water, mana gems, so many shields. I could go just from single targeting certain mobs to, in some areas with a heavy density of enemies, to pulling 7 or 8, and using Shatter, Flame Strike and Cone of Cold to delete entire packs. There was no need for improved Blizzard. You dominate damage in dungeons, get given gold for just casting your class abilities, you have one of the best CCs in the game in Polymorph, you have Counterspell, which is 10 seconds of not playing the game for an enemy. Literally the only downside is that you have a mana bar, and you can spend that mana bar in seconds if you're AoEing. But you can just make sure you spend it well, and the class is incredibly strong. There we go then, my little review of my journey so far. Obviously, I do hope we progress into TBC, because I'd certainly like to carry on from where we are at the moment. If we don't, however, I have planned around it. I believe it's called the 5 Stages of Grief, but yeah, I don't really see that happening. I hope. Anyways, if you're still leveling, maybe this helped to encourage you, or, you know, did the exact opposite. Let me know how your journey's been so far. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one very soon. If you like what you see, do give the video a like and subscribe, as there will be plenty more to come. Thank you guys all so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.